Hari Om. Welcome back to Life and Vedanta. Kindly join me in invoking the grace of the Lord, the blessings of the Guru, and invoking the self which we are seeking. Kindly join your palms, focus your mind, control your breath, and withdraw all your attention from the world to your inner self. Sahana vavatu sahanau bhunaktu sah viryam karavavahai tejasvinavadhitamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. We are delving in the thoughts of Atma Tarhi Kaha. What is Atma? Meaning, what is self? In other words, what am I? Up till now, we have understood that the Shastra has said Atma is SAT-CIT-ANANDA. Sat, existence; Chit, consciousness; Ananda, bliss. It is not three, but one, expressed in such a way that we understand it crystally clearly. The nature is expressed in these three words. Sat Swarupa, Sat meaning existence. Chit Swarupa, of the nature of knowledge, and Anand Swarupa, of the nature of bliss. Existence is that which is beyond time. It stays the same way in all three periods of time. Three periods of time means, from our point of view, what we say as time: the past, the present, and the future. It all is superimposed on existence. Time starts and time ends, but existence continues. Time is also seen on the background of existence. Time exists in existence. That was Sat Swarupa. That Sat, that truth, that self, I am. Then it was spoken, the Atma is Chit Swarupa. Chit, knowledge. What kind of knowledge? Ceaseless knowledge, pure knowledge, uninterrupted, continuous, and pure knowledge. Why do we say pure knowledge? Because the knowledge we gain from the world is through the mediums of the sense organs and the mind. But the knowledge of the self is not dependent on any of these mediums. I know that I am, irrespective of any of these mediums. The example given for this was when the mind and intellect also falls into deep sleep, where there is no mind and no intellect. Yet when you wake up, you know that you were. You know that you experience bliss. That knower is not the mind, not the intellect. There is no thinking. It is only experiential. And that experience of your own self is the knowledge of the self, which is not dependent on any of the equipment. Therefore, I am Chit Swarupa. I am knowledge personified. And today we take Ananda Swarupa, meaning I am of the nature of bliss. The Shastra, the Master, the Guru, tells something which is probably going to be debated very hard by all of y'all. It says, I, the self, am not seeking happiness, but I am happiness itself. One would say, what? I am happiness itself. This is absolutely not true. Because I feel miserable most of the time. I am stressed. I am unhappy. I feel so limited and bound Most of the time, yes, I can say sometimes some things give me happiness and I feel good. But after some time, I'm again miserable. I think that I am not happiness personified, but miserable personified. As I had said before we started, that most of you will debate that what Vedanta, what Shastra, what the Guru is saying, that we are bliss personified, we are Ānanda personified, is not true. We'll try to think in a particular way, the thought flow, why it is important. Please bear with me and try to think as I am thinking. Think along with me. We know in the world, all objects, all things always tend to go back to their original nature. To give an example, if water is taken from room temperature and boiled to 100-degree temperature, removed from the heat and kept, slowly, steadily, but surely, it will come back to room temperature. Why? Because everything wants to come back to its original nature. A second example. We all know bamboo is very flexible. When you take a long bamboo stick, hold it and bend it. You may hold the bamboo in this position for a long period of time. But whenever you leave the bamboo, it will go back to its original state. Because everything in nature wants to go back to its original state. Now we come to us. The way water goes back to its original state, bamboo goes back to its original state because the nature of water is liquid. The nature of bamboo is to be straight. They want to go back to their original nature. All human beings, everyone, don't we all want to be happy? At all periods of time, in any circumstances, we want to be happy. Even if the world is under a situation where there is war outside, you want to be safe so that you, your family, is well protected and so that you are happy. Even if the neighbors are going through the most terrible time in their life, you may go to them, speak to them nicely, provide them something that you can afford, that you can do. But when you come back home, you will come back and want to be happy. The richest in the world, who have everything that humans can possibly think of buying, why are they accumulating all those things which are so expensive, which basically they don't require? It is going to be bought and kept because it makes them feel happy. Happiness is at the core of all our thoughts, all our actions. Everything that human being does is to gain happiness and to remain in happiness. Would you find a single person who does things so that he feels unhappy? Misery comes to him or her? Or so that they are troubled and feel, I am so now happily troubled. No, you will not find a single example like that. Why? Because in true nature, in reality, we are happiness personified. Therefore, again and again we try to gain happiness and remain in happiness. This is a direct correlation, just the way the bamboo wants to become straight and water wants to be liquid. We always want to be happy. Okay, for argument's sake, I will agree that because we are happiness, we want to be happy. But this is not what I feel. I feel miserable and that is a fact of the matter. Yes, So the question should be, then why am I miserable? Why am I feeling not happy? That is not because of the self. That is because of the upadhis. It is the limitations of the body, which it cannot do everything that it wants. This limitation is superimposed on the self. The mind is incapable of thinking of everything, understanding everything, and this stops the mind to be happy. This shortcoming of the mind is superimposed on the self, and the self is felt as though it is not complete. The ignorance of the intellect wants to know the self. It wants to have the knowledge of every single thing that is there, but it is not capable of having that knowledge because of its own limitations of understanding. And this limitation of understanding is called ignorance, and therefore it is superimposed on the self as the ignorance. But these are only personalities. The physical personality, which is limited as big as this body is, the mental personality, as much as the understanding of the world is, and the intellectual personality, how much that intellect can conceive. These are the three limitations, and these are the three personalities that we think we are. But these are not the personality of the self, because self is beyond all the personalities. Self is of the nature of SAT-CIT-ANANDA, existence, consciousness, bliss. It is pure and immaculate. It has no limitation, no physical, no mental, no intellectual. It has no limitations because it is existence personified. Existence has been there and will always be. There is no limitation to it. It is infinite. In the same way, it has no limitations of knowledge because it is knowledge personified. It is which is the knower of all. It is which illuminates all. It is that in front of which everything illumines by its own illumination. And the self is bliss personified. Why? Because it does not know any sorrow. It is not limited. It is existence. There is no sorrow. There is nothing else but itself. Therefore, it is so beautifully said that existence in us is felt as I am. Knowledge in us is felt as I know I am. And bliss is felt in us as I am blissfully aware that I am. How beautifully put by the Shastra. Therefore, I am blissfully aware of myself is how the Shastra asks us to think. This is Vijaniyat. The last word of the sentence is Vijaniyat. Know yourself. Know thyself in this way as Sat, Chit and Ananda. When we see ourselves as existence, knowledge and bliss personified, the entire makeup of the three personalities that we live with starts evolving. It starts transforming. Why? Because what becomes most important is not the body, not the mind, not the intellect, what it receives from outside, but what they are receiving from inside. The body realizes that it is but a transient phase of the same existence to express few activities in this world. The mind realizes that it is an shadow of that same consciousness, and therefore it can perceive and understand the world. And the intellect realizes that I am the ego because I am identified with the self, with the happiness, with the bliss, and not because of the things and the beings which are around me. I am not the ego which is ephemeral, but I am the self. In this way, a sadhaka, a mumukshu, changes his entire outlook towards the world. And then all pains of the body are seen and let them go. All the pains of the mind are observed as and all the ignorance of the intellect vanishes because it has already realized what it is. In this way, a mumukshu, a sadhaka, is encouraged to have the thought flow in his mind. This is a process. Remember, how did we begin the entire talk? Upon the question, what is Tattva Viveka? The answer was two important words. That was Atma Satyam Tadanyat Sarvam Mithyeti. Atma is Satyam. So first know the Atma, know the self. And this is what Shastra has been doing till now. It has been telling us, showing us, explaining to us, giving examples, trying to make our mind from outward to inward, from the eyes seeing outside to turn inwards and have the vision of the self. Therefore, first it was explained what is Atma. The second aspect of the previous sentence, Tadanyat Sarvam Mithyeti, Mithya. Other than the Atma, everything is Mithya. And now the Mithya will be spoken about. 3 words had been spoken. One was Satyam, Sat. Second was Asatyam, Asat. And the third was Mithya. We have clearly understood what the Sat is, Atma. We are going to understand what is Tadanyat, Mithya. Then what about this Asat? Asat is fanciful thinking, which has never been and which can never be. That which is never seen and shall never be is Asat. So understand, Sat and Asat. Sat is pure truth, absolute truth. Asat is which can never be. Therefore, we don't discuss that never be. No fanciful thinkings. But the third thing, Mithya. What was Mithya explained as? That which can be seen, that which can be smelt, that which can be felt, that which can be heard, that which can be spoken to. Meaning, it is in your cognition. But it is Mithya, means it is not permanent. It is transient. It is like this today and tomorrow it will be something else. That which is but keeps on changing cannot be true, cannot be real, cannot be Satyam. And what is that? That is the ephemeral world. This ephemeral world can be spoken of its origin and of its end. And this origin is what we are going to take up from the next session. The creation theory. The creation theory will be spoken from the next session. But do understand this point. Our goal, our aim, what we seek is not the world, but the self. The self has been explained. We have to ponder and think on the self, of the self. by the self. However, because we live in this transactional world, we must also know what is this mithya. With that, we take a Madhya Viram today. My request to all of you sadhakas is, the last 3 to 4 sessions that we've had, they are very important in understanding your own true self. Therefore, the topic was kept as thought flow. My request is that go back to these talks of the thought flow and listen to them and try to embody these thoughts. Self is something which is not for intellectual gymnastics. It is not just for debate. It is for experiencing. Experiencing yourself is the one most important aspects of our life that every one of us must experience. Therefore, kindly do listen to the talks as many times as you can. Therefore, let us show our gratitude to the Master, to the Shastra, who have selflessly given us this beautiful knowledge of the self. As many times as we say thanks, we show our gratitude to the Master and to the Shastra is not enough. With these few words, we take a Madhya Viram today. Kindly join me for the end prayers, the Shanti Mantra. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.